What's up everyone, this is Crumpet here, and welcome to my Sprint Champion guide for the Eternal Championship. So we're going to need a few things before we head out to Zakul to do this. The first thing is we're going to want to get some Polybiotic Versatile Stims, some Polybiotic Attack Adrenals, and I recommend these both be purples, but as you will see in the video for me actually showing the mechanics and everything and the tips to do this, I actually use blue Attack Adrenals. But I do recommend getting the purples. And finally, we will need some polybiotic med units. These are the med packs that heal both you and your companion. In my video as well for doing the 15-minute run, I actually used the wrong med packs. That's because I had them on my bar from something else, because I'm a dummy. But I do recommend using the med units, not the med packs. Next thing we're going to need to look at is our gear. I recommend having at least a 6 set of full 220s or higher. This character is about half 220, half 224s, some random 216 piece in my boots, and 224 weapons. The better your gear is, the better of a shot you're going to get this 15-minute run down. And make sure you bring your highest DPS class. The final thing we're going to need to note is our companion. I'm going to recommend you get at least a level 40 companion. I have my Major Pierce at 48. I did it when he was 47, but he's 48 now. No big deal. But either way, and if you're on chapter, what is it? I believe it's 10 or 11. You're going to want to summon a different companion before you head out to Zakul, because there is companion restrictions on the story mode, and it will mess up stuff once you get to Zakul and pick up the solo mode. So before you head down to Zakul, you're going to want to summon a different companion like Calio. And then we're just about ready to head down to the planet. So in a moment, I'm going to show you my 15-minute kill video, or one of them at least. And I will kind of be pausing and explaining things as I go. I did mess up a few times, but I will explain those when we get to it. So I will see you guys at the Eternal Championship. Alright, we're here on the planet now. Only thing you gotta really do here is pick up the solo mission, not the solo plus. You won't get the solo achievements with solo plus. Inside the phase now, the first thing we're going to want to do is pull back out our proper companion and then make sure he gets swapped into DPS mode. The next thing to notice is the timer on the right in the quest log. This is the timer before the round starts. This is when you're going to want to do everything. So buffing yourself and your companion, which you're going to have to do multiple times. Getting your stacks, healing up, looting is all going to be done during this timed area before the round starts. Do not do any of this stuff after a round ends until after you've clicked the console to start the next round. The strategy for the first wave is, well, barely a strategy. We're just going to kill the med unit mob before we kill the main boss and completely ignore the combat unit. Once we kill the main boss, the combat unit will just despawn. Once the boss goes down, pop your rocket boots and get back to the console as quickly as possible. You don't want to waste any time right now. Start spamming 2 and spacebar until the first option goes through on the conversation, and then spam 1 and spacebar. After we've gone through the console, it's back to you time. Heal up, rebuff your companion if you need to. As you can see, my buffs went away on it. Get your stacks again, and get ready for the next round. This next wave is really simple. All we're going to do is completely tunnel the main boss. He's going to cast a grenade at some point throughout the fight, which will take care of the adds on their own. Although, however, you may be left with some at the end. So, just kill him and then finish off whatever adds are left at the very end.
Against all odds, it's a second win for the mysterious stranger, everyone. Can you believe it? I can't.
I will not count.
This wave is also pretty much just a tank tunnel. However, there is going to be one mechanic at the end we're going to need to watch out for. Gungus is going to jump to the middle of the room, pull you in, knock you down, and start casting an AoE. However, if you kill him while he's jumping in, but before he starts casting his AoE, it's going to keep you in combat for a few seconds after, because the AoE is not going to despawn. So if that happens, slow down for just a second, let the channel start.
But now,
Wave 4 is another simple wave, but with some soft enrages. Conrad will enrage when Chompers enters his regenerative state, and Chompers will enrage if Conrad dies before him. My strategy for this is to get Conrad down very low and then swap to Chompers and push him into his regenerative state. Once that happens, pop a defensive cooldown and finish off Conrad. If Chompers is still in the regenerative state, he will despawn immediately. There also is some adds which will spawn, but I was actually able to DPS this fast enough to where they didn't spawn, but if it happens, just finish them off once the fight is over.
The Beastmaster is dead. Will your skill be enough to defeat the Eternal Empire's most deadly...
Yet again, Wave 5 is another tank and spank fight with two mechanics to watch for. Start the fight behind Lanos and then do your first few attacks. 5 seconds into the fight, Lanos will cast an ability called Deploy Shielders. As soon as those adds spawn, you will want to use any sort of AoE stun or other CC on these droids to stop them from casting their shield, which I have done with Carbonize in the video. This will allow Lanos to be damaged again without having to kill the shielders, who will just despawn at the end of the fight. Towards the end of the fight, Lanos will also spawn reinforcements, which will not despawn when he dies, so just finish off Lanos and then finish off the reinforcements once he's dead. Finally, we're starting to get to the more tough waves. Swap your companion back to heal and get to the middle of the room in front of where the Breakdown Brawler is inside of his reflect circle.
Breakdown Brawler and his pets, King Crush and Mr. Ripper.
Start the fight on the Breakdown Brawler. When he hits 90% health, he'll start casting Untouchable and becomes immune. At this point, swap to one of the adds and strafe around them so they're still in melee range of the Breakdown Brawler, but you're not. Once the Untouchable cast is finished, the Breakdown Brawler will knock back both of the adds and your companion. When this happens, swap back to him and continue DPSing him down. You may have also noticed that when both Master Ripper and King Crush got close enough to each other, they started glowing red. This buffs them, and you generally should keep them separated unless you're trying to knock them away with the Untouchable ability. But by this point, if you've left the second add alone, and your companion should have heal aggro, and since he was knocked back, they should stay separated. At 30% health, the Breakdown Brawler will again cast Untouchable. This time I didn't have either add near me, so I swapped back to Master Ripper and outranged the Breakdown Brawler. When you're too far away from him while he's casting Untouchable, he will cancel the cast and stop being immune, and then leap back to you, and you can then finish him off. Once the Breakdown Brawler is dead, the fight's essentially over. Master Ripper and King Crush will have a soft enrage, but as long as they're still separated, your companion should be able to keep you up through the damage. There was, however, a couple tips I couldn't note on during the video due to a lack of time before the Breakdown Brawler died. But first of all, when you're near the Breakdown Brawler, he will put a stacking debuff on you, which makes you take more damage from him. When you get to about 20 to 30 stacks, 30 being the max, you'll need to pop a cooldown because the damage output is really high at this point. Second of all, you can still actually DPS the mobs outside of the purple reflect circle. You will take the reflect damage, however, you will also still do full damage to whatever you attack as well. You can see this here with me using Explosive Dart to refresh my retractable blade on Master Ripper after I swap back to the Breakdown Brawler. And finally, since Master Ripper and King Crush have a lot of HP, after the Breakdown Brawler dies, you can backpedal them back to the entrance, so as soon as they dies, you can click the console to start the next wave. The Drake Raven and Nocturno fight is definitely the fight that gave me the biggest issue in the Eternal Championship. Start out the fight on Drake Raven, and as he places stun grenades on the floor, position yourself so that the grenades are between yourself and Nocturno. After 2 stun grenades, Nocturno will charge at you and get stuck inside of one of the grenades, while Drake Raven leaps away from you. At this point, swap to Nocturno and DPS him down until he enrages, while kiting him into stun grenades as necessary. Once he enrages, he will become immune shortly while he heals. At this point, swap back to Drake Raven and DPS him down while placing the stun grenades between you and Nocturno like at the beginning. At this point of the fight, there's going to be a lot of outgoing damage once Nocturno jumps back in, so you should probably save your defensive cooldowns for this, or possibly even grab one of the Culto stations lying around the room as needed. Continue DPSing down Drake Raven while getting Nocturno stunned in the grenades until Drake Raven casts an ability called Deploy Abduction Droids. This ability can be interrupted, however I failed to do so in the video due to a bad placed stun grenade. If you miss the interrupt, quickly swap to the silver abduction droid, interrupt his cast, and kill him, which causes the rest of the standard droids to explode. After the interrupt or the droids are dead, go back to Nocturno and continue DPSing him down to about 40,000 health. And then again swap back to Drake Raven and finish him off, and then quickly finish off Nocturno. It's kind of surprising how the previous two waves were so much more difficult, and then they give you this idiot here. Go ahead and swap your companion back to DPS because this fight is a joke. The Little Gut fight is a pretty straightforward tank and spank fight with only a few mechanics to worry about. When you first start off the fight, you'll get immediately slowed. Start moving away from your companion as there will be a ground slam ability called Overhead Smash soon. Because of the slow on you, when Overhead Smash is casted, you'll need some sort of movement speed or CC break ability to make it out of the AoE on time. After Overhead Smash, an ad will spawn in the back of the room. Swap to the ad and kill him as he will eventually try to heal Little Gut. Little Gut will next cast another ability called Ferocious Slam. You can't stop this, so let yourself get thrown and just move out of the AoE that spawns on the ground when you can. By this point, Little Gut should pretty much be dead. But if he's not, he might cast one more ability called Terrifying Roar. This is a beam-like AoE with a knockback component. Straight to the side to avoid it and finish off Little Gut. The Doom Droid fight is going to be one of the most crucial fights for making the speedrun. If you don't have enough DPS for this, you will encounter a mechanic which is going to slow down your overall time by at least 20 seconds. There's also going to be a lot of outgoing damage on this fight, and because of the DPS requirement, you're going to need your companion to be DPS. So you'll want to pop your heroic moment in Unity just before the fight begins to help stay alive. Only do this before the fight begins, as they both use a GCD which you don't want to waste mid-fight, as this will lower your DPS and could possibly make it so you don't have enough damage to skip the final mechanic. Start off the fight in front of the Doom Droid. Once combat starts, run through him so he's facing away from your companion. Soon after, the Doom Droid will cast a laser beam. Strafe out of the beam before the cast ends to avoid the damage. After the laser beam, the Doom Droid will cast another ability called Missile Strike, which places AoEs on the ground, each one larger than the last, which will do damage and knock you back if you get hit by it. At this point, you'll actually want to drop the edge of one of these missile strikes on your companion in order to knock him away from you and the boss for the ads that are about to be spawned. If you had enough DPS, 4 ads should spawn. 2 that will chase you and explode when they get to melee range, and then 2 regular ads. Let the 2 chase you that get into explosion range, and then use a CC break or movement speed ability to get out of the AoE before they explode, while dodging the next laser beam that the Doom Droid's going to cast. If the Doom Droid isn't already dead at this point, he will cast one more round of missile strikes, and then if he hasn't died by that point, you miss the DPS check and you're going to hit the mechanic where he becomes immune for 20 seconds, where you kill droids before he becomes damageable. So hopefully you've killed him by this point. And now for the final wave. Remember to swap your companion back to healer. I'm actually cutting in a clip from another attempt because I screwed up on this one for the video I did and forgot to swap my companion back to heals. I did end up killing it, but I was running around like a chicken with its head cut off trying to grab all the cultist stations in order to live.
It's no mystery why I am called Eternal Champion. This stranger is a
Starting off, just eat the first Mortar Strike AoE that Aftershock drops, as your companion should be able to heal through it. Soon after, Aftershock will spawn 4 fire support droids that will cast beam AoEs towards you. You can line these up in order to kill the fire droids with the beam AoE, or you can alternatively use the Mortar Strike AoE from the boss to kill the fire support droids as well. At 50% health, Zotan will drop out of Aftershock for his first debut to the fight while Aftershock heals up. DPS him down quickly and CC break as soon as he stuns you. The faster you do this, the less time Aftershock has to repair. At 75% health, Zotan will return to Aftershock and you go back to DPSing Aftershock again. During this time, Aftershock will cast Focus Lasers on you, which does a lot of damage, so save a defensive cooldown for this. At 50% health, Aftershock will break again and Zotan will return to the fight. Go back into the middle and continue DPSing him until he jumps into the dead center of the room, becomes immune, and begins casting Shocking Finale. Quickly swap your companion in and out of passive to move him out of the AoE. Once the cast is over, if you have a knockback resist ability, use it here and continue DPSing Zotan. During this time, he will cast an ability called Unstoppable Force occasionally, which can be interrupted. Continue DPSing him down until he dies, and Aftershock will become suicidal and drop a missile strike on himself and any remaining fire support droids in the room. If you've done everything correctly, as soon as combat ends, you should get your Sprint Champion achievement and legacy title. If you've found this video useful, please hit that like button. If you want to see more, please subscribe. Thank you guys very much for watching. This has been Crumpet, and I will see you in the next video.